Can everyone hear me okay? Cool.
Can everyone hear me okay? Am I really loud?
So my name is Brian.
And I'm Theo.
Thank you for having us. It's really, really, really difficult to follow up such an amazing magic act. Give it up for Joe Ledoux, everybody.
Woo! Is your mic on?
Is my mic on? Can you guys hear me okay? It's not going to sound the
It
same.
could go up a little bit.
Yeah, maybe I'll kind of... Is Theo a
Thank
lot
you.
louder
I
than
appreciate
me?
that. I feel
right.
like I'm really loud.
Okay. We're
I
doing a
can
little
be
bit of
loud, I
technical
guess.
difficulty stuff. How's that sound?
If anyone in the neighborhood wants to see a free podcast recording, come on down.
So basically what we're going to do here is an interpretive dance piece by Theo while I narrated.
I thought you were doing the interpretive dance piece. I prepped like a
So
thing.
basically, what we do is
We talk.
we started a project in 2021 that we wanted to come here and talk about. It is been
5 years, almost 5 years.
The really funny part about this is that we usually record a podcast in our car into voice memos and talk about life and art and stuff, but we're doing that right here. So the people at home listening are just like,
They're going to be kind of
they think
confused.
we're in a podcast studio, but we're actually just awkwardly standing in front of like 40 people on a street corner.
This is our first live episode, so that's really exciting. I'm really glad you guys are here to be with us for that.
The only thing we've ever done that was more awkward than this is we were brought to the Museum of Fine Arts to talk to their STEAM program, which we had to present, do a presentation on our podcast to a group of high schoolers.
That was crazy.
And we think it might have been a disaster, but they really appreciated us coming through.
It was good. They just had a lot of questions, and we weren't expecting them. So that was funny. Well, two of them got in a little fist fight in the back of the room in the middle of it, too, so we just kind of stood there while their teacher stopped it. But they were really nice. They were good kids.
So to kind of back it up a little bit, I'm Brian, this is Theo, and we do a show called the Boston Art Podcast where we interview artists, creatives, musicians, and everybody from people like Joe over here who are artists and musicians and skateboarders to people who are curators at major museums like MFA Boston or other things like that. And we started it as just two artists kind of doing their own thing and having shows around the city. And the point of the project was to connect artists to audiences and a platform that they wouldn't normally have.
And to kind of just get to know other people in our community, because the project was born out of COVID. Both of us are arts organizers from before the pandemic. Brian has made a lot of organized a lot of house shows and music opportunities, and I was doing a lot of arts collaborative opportunities. And then when quarantine happened, which is a bummer to talk about, but that happened, we were kind of missing that sense of community and that sense of artistic collaboration with other people and learning about people in the area we're doing. So we decided to do a podcast because we were together and we could reach communities through the internet and through streaming services that we couldn't normally. We could kind of have these long conversations we were used to having outside of shows and in our living room, in our car, and then upload it and talk to people on Instagram. So it's really cool to have that turn into a thing where we're in community again. That's how we found Behind VA Shadows. That's how we found a lot of the people that are here. We've interviewed some of the people that are here today. Some of you guys are on our list. You'll be hearing from us. It's just really cool to have a full circle moment like that. But it did start as trying to get to know what other people are doing and kind of self-educate outside of an institutional or academic setting, just kind of person to person getting to know individuals.
And with most podcasts, it's usually written and produced and scripted for an audience to teach them something and to engage with them. But what we do instead is just give an artist just access to an audience without editing it, without editorializing it, and putting in our own opinions, and just kind of putting a mic in somebody's face and then just letting them show themselves. And there are a lot of cultural media operations in Boston and outside of Boston that do really wonderful things, but we felt that a lot of that was focused on artists that already had a platform or were already gallery represented or already had something significant going on. And as artists that are self-starting and kind of doing our own thing for years anyway, we wanted to use, I guess, our digital media skills to put that lens on people that wouldn't normally get it. And, or at least that's what the Boston Globe said about us.
Yeah, that was really nice of them. Yeah, I think that's been really cool because we feel really strongly about not editing our episodes. I mean, we'll edit them to clean them up a little bit sometimes, but we don't chop up and make things into segments, put the music in between things like a lot of podcasts do, because we don't want to put, even if it's neutral and well-intentioned, we don't want to put an editorial spin on what these artists might be saying. Our episodes are kind of exactly like what we're doing right now. We just talk, we have the mic in the room or we're on the phone, and we just talk with the person, talk to them about what their background is, what kind of art they make, and then it goes from there. We've had a lot of exploratory conversations, I guess you might say, where it just kind of goes where it goes, and it's way better than anything we could have scripted or thought of. So that's been really exciting, and it's been a really nice way to learn about people.
Yeah, and like I said before, like we're not journalists. We are not writing pieces. We're not really like using or wielding institutional support. Like most of these episodes are either recorded on mics like this or on our phones, in a living room, in a car, just very casual. And one of our favorite things to do especially is recording in artists' actual studios or wherever they create the stuff. And we actually once recorded an interview literally right here on this corner with Yolanda and Cam back when we did, I think it was Fanfare for Clouds, a story on a show that Cameron had in this gallery here.
Can we give Yolanda and Cam a hand?
Oh, yeah. That kind of brings us like up to like, you know, the reason that we were here, which is we ended up through Theo's artwork. Theo is an arts administrator and fundraiser and has worked in arts. I don't know. Do you want to maybe talk about what you might better represent it than?
Yeah, I've worked in I've worked in art museums and galleries in Boston, like a working class level and most recently a fundraising level for a couple of years now. I'm very early career, but it brought me to the museum community, which has been really wonderful. I feel like everybody in this room probably is familiar with that, but it is a very unique community in the sense that there's a lot of conversation about equity and about representation. If you're working in a space all day long, standing on your feet, selling tickets, advocating, selling, educating, whatever it is that your role is, these artists and these beautiful artworks and masterpieces, and you're also an artist on your 5 to 9, I guess you might call it, there is some tension there, and it's really nice to find this community behind VA Shadows. For those who may not know that maybe walked in today, is a community that represents those artists, people that are working class artists or people that work within the gallery, museum space, or nonprofit space, that make their art on the side as well as having this career, or that were in that field previously and are now working in the arts. It's a really great space to kind of uplift each other, and we have this beautiful gallery right here, the 25/8 Art Space, and there's rotations every month or so, and it's really beautiful. It's been a really nice community to be a part of because I feel like there's so much, it's much less competitive than other spaces that I've been in. It's very warm, it's very loving. I think you got a taste of that in this event, and I think it's just been a really beautiful thing to be a part of. That I got involved in it in, I think it was back in 2021 at this point, so it's been a little while. And we had a show at Laconia Gallery. A friend of mine that I knew from the museum that I was working at was part of the show and told me about it when I popped into the ICA. I was going to see the Yayoi Kusama exhibition that was up at the time, which is pretty cool. And I bumped into him in the line. He told me about a call for art for a show that was at Laconia through this organization. And I didn't know what it was about, but I thought that it sounded cool, so I decided to look into it. And I stumbled upon this amazing community, and I met these amazing people. And it's kind of just gone from there. We have catalogs here today that if you guys haven't had a chance to thumb through them, please do. It's an organization kind of archive of everything that's happened, the shows that we've had, extremely detailed archiving, very, very fantastic, with photos and artist statements and descriptions of the shows that have happened from 2022 to 2024, up to the present, actually. And it's really beautiful, and it's really thick. We've been doing a lot, so that's awesome. And this is a really nice moment to kind of come together and reflect on all of that.
And to clarify, VA Shadows stands for Behind Visitors Assistant Shadows, which was the job of people standing in the galleries or distributing tickets at the Institute of Contemporary Art in Boston, which, if anybody has worked in museums, knows I have not. Most of those people are artists. Most of the security is artists. Most of the people running these entire museums are artists, painters, creatives in general that, you know, are standing around extremely, you know, monumental and important and studied and storied artworks all day, every day. And, you know, are going home. Maybe that is informing their work. Maybe it is stealing the life from their work. I don't know. That's probably from person to person. But regardless, those are artists that are holding up and supporting massive institutions that are largely in shadows, So
I think too, this is a story that I've heard secondhand. I think Yolanda would be able to share it a little bit better. But the name comes from, it was just a really interesting thought that in the ICA, the walls in the galleries are white. And the representatives, the visitor assistants, they sell the tickets at the ticket desk. They're the people you meet when you come into the space. And they're also the people on security rotation that are standing in the galleries. They wear all black uniforms, and they'll be standing in the galleries or leaning against the walls in the same spaces all the time. And people come and go from those roles, but they've always been there since the opening of that museum. And they leave impressions of their time there from leaning against the same spaces and the same walls. And they do create these actual physical shadows from being so present. And I think that's a really beautiful thought. That's where the name of the group comes from. And it's just these kind of just barely tangible fingerprints on this arts community, arts space, this city, that they really are. We do kind of build up this thing, this powerhouse of institutional education, of all these really valuable archives. But I think there needs to be a place, and there is now, for those people to be upheld as well and archived and documented for their work to be appreciated.
It's too bad that it can't be called Behind VA Comfy Chairs.
We have some comfy chairs. We do.
Working. Why don't they have chairs? Maybe some do.
Yeah. We're working on that.
Yeah. But
anti-fatigue mats, maybe.
At the end of the day, if you do check out our podcast, you will find tons and tons of conversations of just me and Theo talking about life as an artist in this city and outside of it. And in between those, you'll find us talking to creatives, to artists, to curators, to pretty much anybody that will talk to us. We're about 180 episodes deep over the last few years with some hiatuses in between. But
that's about 400 hours, guys.
It's hundreds and hundreds of hours of...
this is a hyperfixation.
Mostly just us talking about nothing and having fun and just trying to figure it out. We don't... we don't claim to be experts really on anything. We're just people that love art, and we love artists, and we love talking to people. Mm-hmm. So thank you to Yolanda and VA Shadows for having us. Thank you to all of the amazing volunteers here. I think next we're going to be introducing Caitlin to come up and MC the open mic aspect of this, correct? So, yeah, if we could give a round of applause to Joe Ledoux for that wonderful magic performance. What's up? I mean, it has been a short presentation, but I think that maybe we could award more time to the wonderful people that are going to come up and speak, unless...
You don't want to riff a bit?
We actually argue a lot on our podcast, so we might do that right now.
We could riff a bit.
We just be really weird and argue and...
Yeah. We actually prepared a segment where if it gets really weird, we don't look at you guys. We're just looking at the wall.
Let's just pretend that they can't hear us.
It's been 5 minutes, Brian.
It feels like 55 minutes. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, we're trying to be really professional, so we have a lot of respect for this project. But what we found has been that when we try to be professional, sometimes we crash out, and it's really weird.
Yeah, because that's been a really interesting thing, because, we wanted to keep this extremely positive, but, and I'm not about to get, that doesn't mean I'm going to say something negative, but one thing that is completely true is, when you look around us right now, you'll see an example of how Boston is an extremely institutional and collegiate place. That I'm not saying that as if, that's some horrible thing. It's kind of an indifferent, amoral thing. It just is what it is. But
shout out Harvard.
That means that there's thousands and thousands of artists that are not represented and are not heard in this city, and we are definitely a drop in the bucket in the effort to change that and to just represent more people and to make cool conversations happen. And we're proud of the work that we've done, but it is just a splash.
Yeah, and there's a lot more work to do. I think we had, we did get some press coverage where we were, I think the headline was that we were like, I don't remember what it was. It was like we were unearthing Boston's underground, and we were like, oh my god, that's like so much to say. It's a huge responsibility.
We're really not. We're unearthing like maybe like
we're not even
10 people a
unearthing.
year.
It's like it's just right there. We're just like, oh,
Yeah,
it's
we're
right
just
there.
shining a light on stuff like that.
There are so many people. We're both from Massachusetts, and this has kind of been our community forever. We're both from the South Shore, and we've been spending a lot of time in Boston since we were kids. And the reason we wanted to start this project is because we both actually left institutional backgrounds. I was working in a museum before the pandemic. I'm now back in the museum field, but at the time, there were layoffs. I was laid off, and I left school. You had also left school. So we found ourselves going from this cradle of like academic support and institutional support to being kind of self-led, self-organizing, and the pandemic happened, so we lost those self-built communities that we were kind of leaning on. And it became this question of like, how do I access this thing that I need so I don't die? This community that I need, this, like, where do I put my voice? And is my voice still wanted without those supports? And I think it's been a central question to our work, to my personal creative work, to this podcast. And it is not an accident. I think it brought us to this community space. I think things like this are so important. And what we do is just we're trying to capture this ephemeral thing of all these hundreds of thousands of people that come in and out of the city all the time. South Shore, Western Mass, we've been in Providence, we've been all over the place. It's not really Boston, our podcast. It's just like we're trying to document what we're seeing from our perspectives, but there's so many of these conversations happening every day in people's houses and studios all over the city, in grocery stores and everywhere. So we're not really unearthing anything. I think that we're just kind of trying to capture it, like almost like photographers, I guess, is how we think about it. It's like our growing archive, expanding archive.
Yeah, and anybody that's been in music and art communities for any amount of time will know that a lot of these spaces and these a lot of these spaces are ephemeral, not really on purpose, but they come and go, they rise and fall, people move here and then move away, and it's, you know, the way we see it is we're just taking a snapshot of how that thing was at that time. We've interviewed people in their art studios that aren't there anymore. We've interviewed artists that we don't even know where they are anymore. You know, these things just rapidly change and grow, and, you know, I don't know. I've studied a lot of history, and I collect a lot of antique photos, and I like to research them and do different genealogy on random ghostly people and stuff. And it's almost impossible to find out personal information about random people in old photographs. Even if they're from like the 80s or 90s, it is so difficult to figure out information. I once found a file cabinet that was just filled with hundreds of photos and letters and zines and like someone's collection of their experience in DIY music through the 80s in Boston. And I literally had so much information and so much of this guy's writings. I had entire manila envelopes full of receipts from tours that this guy had went on with his band, and researching him, I couldn't even find like an obituary.
Yeah.
Like it was just like nothing. I could find some evidence of the band he was in, but you know, I guess what I'm just saying is these things just disappear into ash, and which is sad to me, and we really like to do what we
Capture
can
them.
to.
I once
Get
lived
something.
in an apartment in Somerville, and in the scary dungeon basement, there was a file cabinet. It was a similar thing where there was an envelope. It was a big like manila envelope that was stuffed full of zines and very personal photographs and love letters. And it was an archive of somebody who had lived in that same house in like 2005 when they were my age. They are not now. This was probably like 2019 or something. And it was every physical remnant of a very intimate, like 8-year romantic relationship between someone who had lived in that house and someone who had lived up the block. And when they moved, they packed it all up and they left it there. And I found it not knowing that. And I was like, this is very personal. Like, I should find the person this belongs to. And I found them on Facebook, because that still existed then. And I told them that I had it. And they said that it was best for them to kind of send it into the world, that I could keep it. And I feel like that's kind of a similar thing where it's like a lot of these conversations that we've had are just like a moment in time where this person is talking to us about something that they feel so strongly about, that they have enough information on, enough passion about, they can talk about it for an hour or 2 hours with us, usually being the first time we met that person. And maybe that's not what they're doing anymore 3, 4, 5 years from now, or maybe that is what they're still doing and we're good friends now, we know them very well, but it is a moment in time, and that's just a teeny tiny microcosm of how this can be. There's so many people who we didn't get a chance to talk to in 2021. I think we've done 400 hours. That's like almost 200 episodes, which is crazy. We're 2 people. We have day jobs, as we discussed. This is our 5 to 9. So I think we've interviewed maybe over 100 people, which is crazy. That's insane. But that's not a lot of people. That's not even a town. That's not even like a neighborhood, really, if you're counting people's kids. I don't think we've interviewed any kids, but one time someone asked us, and we didn't know how that worked legally. But like, I just think it is so, I don't want to keep dwelling on how like temporary this is and we're all going to die, but I think that's what
It's true.
it is true. That's why we feel so driven to do this, and I think that it's such a beautiful thing when we can all come together and intentionally kind of support each other and do this documentation. Like, just to kind of put in perspective how absolutely precious these catalogs are, how absolutely precious this gallery is. And when you go into these museum spaces, or if you go to like a house show and you bump into a random person, like, where will they be in 20 years? What will they be doing? Will they still be in this city? Will they still be in this state? Will they still be making art? What do you not know about them they're doing right now that you would think is really cool? So what we've been kind of trying to do is follow those questions of just, if somebody's interesting and weird, we want to talk to them. And I think maybe the core thing at the center of our belief system is that although it is really, really impactful and important what a lot of these nonprofits and institutions are doing, like colleges, museums, different community centers and stuff like that. Actually, community centers aren't part of that. They're awesome. But a lot of these orgs are uplifting. They can only do what they can do as well with their budget and their bandwidth and the people that they're able to find and serve, that they do end up leaning towards more established artists or people that already kind of have this attention or that are a safe investment, they yada, yada, yada. So there's so much that falls through the cracks. There's so much sand that falls through your fingers, of the fingers of time, you know? So I think that's the main motivation for our project.
Yeah, because when you look at the list of artists and people we've interviewed, it's a list of people that nobody would ever put together. You know.
It's people we usually didn't know either. We've met
Yeah.
a ton of people through doing this, which is so valuable.
And as people that are kind of just throwing spaghetti at the wall and just trying different things and talking to random people, you know, we've talked to a lot of different people and gotten a lot of different results, you know.
Some people hated us, actually,
99%
which is really
of
funny.
it being amazing, but there's risks involved. It's very awkward sometimes, but we do everything we can to just make something good.
Yeah.
And
It's like kind of crazy to think about it this way, but we just like passionately get lunch with strangers. I'm so anxious right now. Like, that's crazy.
this actually might not be the weirdest episode we've ever made.
No, it's not.
We have had way worse, more awkward episodes than this.
Yeah.
One time, actually, never mind. Should I tell the story I was going to tell?
What story are you going to
One
tell?
time we interviewed a person, and it was in their studio, and it was really hot out. And they
No.
stood in front of a fan. Like an oscillating fan was behind them, and this person was like gesticulating and talking to us. And the fan was just blowing, like, this is horrible, just BO through this person onto us.
You have to understand, too,
we
that
were
their
just
art was
seated in
not,
front of them,
it was not safe for
listening to
work
this
art
person
as well.
With just BO blowing at us. And
But
it
he was
very-
awesome. That was a
it
really good
great
interview.
time.
Yeah. That wasn't his fault. That was a mean one to bring up. That was.
I brought that up. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very cool seeing where these threads will lead you. Oh my God, I had another thing I was gonna say, and that just like
Did I
completely.
just make you really
I'm like in that
anxious?
moment right now.
I'm sorry.
We've,
everybody.
yeah, it's been really fun to kind of follow these threads. Yeah, we've been talking. We've been talking a lot recently about our podcast and where it's going, because when we started it, this is like crazy, but I was 22. My birthday was yesterday, so I'm 28 now. Happy birthday to me and anyone else who is a Leo or had a birthday this year. And we've been talking about the fact that the format, like we're constantly changing the format, really. Other than the lack of editing and kind of the central beliefs, the ways that we go about that definitely change. I went back to college while we were working on this project, and that completely changed my schedule. I was working at a grocery store at one point. Now I'm back in the museum field. You've been doing a ton of different things. You've gone on tour like twice since we started. Like Brian's also a musician and an artist.
I tried.
I mean, the demands on our time have changed a lot, and the kind of things we're doing have changed a lot. Even in the museum field, I spent a year working in MVS. I've been doing a bunch of different things. MVS is another museum's name for member visitor services, visitor assistant, same thing. So there's a lot of different demands on our time, and in response, the podcast has changed a lot. We've tried video format recently. We're actually doing a video episode right now. Thank you so much to Emlyn for recording us. And we've also done shorter episodes. We've changed our release schedule a few times. Like, it's kind of a call and response between our normal lives and this passion for this project. And we've been in a transitional period recently, partially because our like distributor thing, I don't really understand it, and this is kind of in the weeds, but it broke, like the RSS feed broke, and I don't know what to do about that.
Our podcast is offline for the next like 24 hours. So
it'll be up later
it's
though.
Terrible.
Google it tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, if you look it up right now, you actually won't find it.
Yeah, we're lying. We don't have a podcast. We made this whole thing up. I'm just kidding. But we were having this conversation recently, not to spoil our next episode, but about where we've come from and where we've gone. So when we started, we were talking to people that we knew. That was the obvious start for people that were in their early 20s and without this kind of background or reach. And we didn't really have anything to show for it yet. So it would be insane to like contact like the MFA and try to talk to their like craft curator. They'd be like, "Who are you?" I'm a child. So that didn't happen then. But as we've been doing it over the years, we actually got kind of lucky, and our name is really similar to the Boston Art Review. That's not us, but
we used the same font as the Boston Globe.
That was on purpose.
So that we kind of looked more legitimate.
We did some trickery. So people don't always Google you when you ask them for an interview. They just say yes. And then we've created some really awkward situations where we're like, "Hey, what's up?" And they're like, "What? Why would you say that?" We're like, "Oh, shit." And they're like, "What?" So we've been kind of thinking about the awkwardness of like, and how awesome it is being able to talk to people that are extremely professional and extremely accomplished artists and educators with like 50 years of experience under their belts, and the difference in an interview style between that and talking to somebody who's our age, our peer, a friend of 10 years that we have all this history with, we can easily talk to about things we've both experienced and everything in between. And we've kind of been following this thread where we're like, we want to make really engaging episodes. We want to educate people and get people access to information without them having to go to college or having to pay for it. So we want to talk to people that have this institutional connection or that have this education. And that's been really cool. Those have all been really nice interviews. But it's left us in this pattern where we're always reaching further and further. And as we progress, we've been kind of leaving behind the roots of where we started. So we've been talking recently about returning to community and putting that aside for a little while, maybe kind of balancing it a little bit, and talking to more artists, just going back to where we started and kind of reaching back into community, which is perfect timing for this episode. We made that decision probably, I think that was yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday.
We've tried to make that decision like a million times.
It's really hard.
It never really works.
We don't have any team except for us, so we make that decision all the time and then forget. But it is that push and pull of like trying to balance those values against the reality and also who will answer our DMs. Rejection. Is it rejection sensitivity? Is that what it's called? Rejection
therapy?
Exposure therapy. That's like our hobby, I guess. You know what that reminds me of? This is so off topic. Do you remember the time, there's a video of this, that you went to Alston on a random night.
Okay.
And we were playing... Because I was talking about rejection sensitivity and exposure therapy. We played this game where we're like, this was like trending on TikTok or something, I think, and it was like, just ask people for things, and the worst they can say is no, and like try to see where that leads you.
Right.
So we were like, maybe we can like see how that goes. Like maybe we could try it. I didn't even do it. I was just like, that would be a good idea for you. And then Brian was like, I'm gonna go to Alston, find a random guy, and sing a song to him a cappella on the street. And I was like, yeah, do that. I would love to see it.
It was mental torture, and it was the most embarrassing thing I've ever done.
The guy was so nice about it.
And just sang a song to him like this far apart, while
just like
people were just walking around us trying to get by, and like it's like a yeah.
You did a good job. You didn't break until after he left. But the funniest part was the poor guy. We like victimized this guy. Unfortunately, he was so nice though. He followed you on Spotify, I think. But
he might have pretended to.
He was wearing AirPods when we talked to him, and he took one out and was like, "Oh, what's up?" Like whatever, thinking that we were gonna assail him or something probably because we were on the street in Alston on a Saturday. And then we were like, "Can we film you? Can we do this?" And we did. This does still exist online somewhere. I'll share it later. And he takes out the one AirPod, and you're like, "Can I sing to you?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, show me what you got." And you like start singing. I think it was like your song "Scribble." If you want to sing it now, this is your opportunity.
Thanks, Leo. I appreciate that layup.
No, you're welcome.
Time for me to break out into song. Right
yeah, you could do that if you want. But he didn't like take out the other AirPod. So he's like, I don't know what he was listening to, maybe like a podcast, like NPR or something, while Brian's singing to him. And it got too awkward because it was on the side that I was filming him from for him to do it. So he just really slowly, while you're singing in the video, is like...
Just pauses his podcast.
just like slowly removes the AirPod. And he's like, you did a great job. And like shakes your hand. And he like speed runs away. I think you curled up in like an alley and you were like, what? Oh my God. But you did it. Which I've never done that. I think that's very impressive. That's kind of what the podcast feels like.
In this moment, that is exactly what it feels like, yeah.
I put the pressure on you. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
It was a panic response.
So I guess with that being said, should we open up the floor to...
Yeah, does anybody feel compelled to get on the mic now?
Well, we
Did
have
we
to
set that
introduce
up correctly?
our next host here.
No, I know. I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, so I guess to wrap up here, my name is Brian and this is Theo. We've been doing this podcast for a few years now.
Brian Huntress and Theodore Earthworms on
Thank you to Behind
Instagram,
VA Shadows for having
Spotify.
us and for putting on this amazing event. And have a free seltzer.
Yeah,
Very
there's
good.
plenty of Topo Chico. Please take some.
Okay. Can we bring up Caitlin here?
Are we on?
Yeah, you're good to go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Caitlin, and I will be standing up here for the next half an hour. The mic is clearly live, and folks are welcome to come up and join and add anything to the conversation that they would like to bring. I have been part of the VA Shadows now, I think since the very beginning. I was lucky enough to see Yolanda build this from the ground up. I myself was a VA and left many shadows, so to speak. I really want to thank Theo and Brian for telling the story of the VA Shadows and where that name comes from, because I think that that is a really important thing to remember. So I'll introduce myself a little bit. I am a former museum employee, a current cemeterian and educator. I have been very proud to be part of a few of the VA Shadows collaborative shows, and I hope to continue doing that in the future. I myself am wearing quite a bit of art by one of my favorite artists who is here today, Janella. Janella, would you like to come up and maybe read a poem, please? I'm going to stay up here with you. Okay?
You're going to stay. Is that okay? Yeah. No, please, absolutely. Hello, I'm Janella. I was a VA working in Kusama's Infinity Room for over 400 hours with some of the most amazing people I've ever met. And I'm really grateful for everything that's come together, being able to share in this space, the connections I've made to create permanent artwork for some of the most extraordinary people I've had the pleasure of spending time with. And I'm trailing off a little bit because I came up here with the goal of reading a poem and went somewhere else. But here, yeah, assist, thank you. Untitled. The unspeakable world when you don't name things anymore. You start seeing them. The force of liberation will blow the world to pieces. The attitude of heaven is not serious. The angels fly because they take themselves lightly. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Janella. I've been thinking a lot about art lately. I do very often. I have had the opportunity to work with artists at the ICA downtown in the Seaport, at the Columbus Museum of Art in Columbus, Ohio, and the Crocker Art Museum. And I currently work at Mount Auburn Cemetery, where we celebrate life, death, art, and everything in between. And something I've heard a lot lately, I think, on social media and in the news, is this idea that art is starting to disappear, which is something that I find so funny. Because of my time at the ICA and some of the other places I've had the joy to put my time in, I think that I'm surrounded by art all the time and people who are practicing art all the time. One of my favorite parts about being part of the VA Shadows from the very beginning and still now is that it gives the opportunity for folks all over the place from all sorts of backgrounds to show what they are practicing here and now. One of the first things I learned working in a museum, and please forgive me because I think some of you will have heard this story a million times, but one of the first things I learned working in an art museum is that you can ask someone whose name is literally on the wall next to a piece of art how long they've been a practicing artist. And a lot of them will balk at that question and say, oh, who, me? I'm not an artist. Can anyone tell me what a little kid will say when you ask them how long they've been an artist? They'll tell you how old they are. Yeah. Yes. I knew you'd know that answer. Okay, speaking to Jalen and to entirely interrupt Jose, I'm going to invite the two of them to come up now and share with us for a few minutes. Jalen does not have to come, but you should. Come support him.
Thank you, Caitlin. Yeah, so I was a part of the 2022 inaugural event over in downtown Crossing, and that was such an honor, honestly. I had a hard time considering myself to be a full-fledged artist. I'd made music, so I could say, oh, I'm a rapper, I'm this, I'm a poet, but it was a really good opportunity to kind of step into that light and to step out from just talking about somebody else's art and start speaking on some ideas that, yeah, I really held true to home, because the home was my big thing with all of the artwork that I made that day. But yeah, the cool thing about VA Shadows is just the way that it brings so many different people together. And, it really brought me and Jalen together in particular. She helped me out with my artwork. We were doing interviews and things like that together. So I really feel like the inception of this whole organization is continuing to evolve and continuing to bring more and more people, and it's actually really nice to be in this space and see that there's so many faces I don't know and so many people I don't recognize, and it just shows that the organization is taking on a life of its own and really just making an impact in the city, literally taking up a whole wall in the city permanently. I think that is such a accomplishment, and so much praise to Yolanda and the engine that kind of keeps this whole thing going. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks to the two of you. It would be irresponsible, I think, to not take the opportunity on the mic to say Free Palestine. Yesterday was also the anniversary, I think, of the ongoing genocide and famine in the Congo. And there are quite a few places around the world that are experiencing quite a bit of friction. And a lot of that has been brought on by Western capitalist white practices. And I think this is something that we need to identify and talk about all the time. Something that really stresses me out when I look ahead in an era of extreme climate chaos and friction in society is the fact that I work with artists. In times like these, I think it's really important that you remember the people that are doing the creative, thoughtful, and authentic work to shine a light on areas of need. All of the people who are here today started in these institutions from positions that were not necessarily ones of privilege. It is a privilege to be inside these institutional walls. And it is a privilege to be able to share our art and our thoughts and our work with the world. And it's also been such a privilege to get to know all of you. So I'm going to continue to be a supervillain and invite someone else up to speak and share. First, Jordan, would you like to please join me at the mic? Urchin, you're welcome to come back. Jordan, up.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I was also a VA. I was one of the gallery operators, so we were also like in charge of supervising the galleries, opening, closing, hoarding like masses of people out after closing. It was difficult at times because of the way that we were treated by the institution. But I feel so lucky to have met all of my friends there, and people have been so supportive, especially a time in my life where I was really struggling. So it was really important. I'm so glad that we're all still here today. I also do art stuff. I don't know if I'd consider myself an artist, but I actually have artwork up at a gallery with Caitlin's work at CCTV in Cambridge, which was curated by another former VA, Tristan. So thank you, Tristan. It wouldn't have been the same. It's my first time having work anywhere, and it wouldn't have been the same. Thank you. It wouldn't have been the same if it wasn't with all of my friends and my peers who helped me get there in the first place. So I'm so grateful for all of that. Okay, I'm done now.
Thank you. Very good. All right. It's pretty strange to stand up here with not a lot to say. I could choose a couple other names to come up, but I want to leave a moment for people who I don't know and can't call out directly to come on up. Please come share your thoughts. David, come up here. Do you want me to hold that? I'm going to give David a moment to collect his thoughts. I did just put him on the spot.
They're collected, they're just not organized yet.
Collected but not organized is so relatable. Okay, good. Yes. Loosen up. Get ready. We also here have some beautiful artwork by the lovely Janella. Please stop by the front table to pick up some of their art today. You ready? You can do it. You can talk as long as you need.
Yeah. Let's see. I have also spent a lot of time recently thinking about the importance of art. I want to explain that by starting off with what I've been doing for the past year, which is reading through like countless PDFs of recently unsealed court documents that explain, horrors beyond comprehension in such a way that it's kind of palatable, right? And the whole time it was like I could understand it, but language only really goes so far. And I think I went that whole time, that whole year. I think I might have cried once and it was about something else. But very recently, I cried very hard over a video game because a robot gave his life so that a cat could go outside again. So I think the importance of it is that the intellect, or like the understanding that language can give you of the situation, the theory, the history, the information, it's all been written, it's accessible, and it's, you know, not repressed because it's not threatening in any way. And that sort of can turn into a little protective cage that you build around your heart. And in order to sort of navigate the current moment, I think it's going to take more than language can really do. It's going to take some action that cannot be spurred on by the intellect. And we need art to just step inside that cage and sort of split it open just enough to really feel the weight of, you know, everything that we know and that we think and that we've heard. And that is, I think that's the only way that that things really change. But yeah, so I am very grateful for this place. I think it's very important. That's all.
Thank you, David. Sometimes there are no words. Sometimes there is only feelings. Sometimes there's only art. Mariana's here. I won't bring you up for at least 5 more minutes. Not yet. But who I will call over. Oh, yes, please. Oh, my God. Thank you to my support team. Do you want me to stay up here with you? Sure. Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name's Maya Urslav. I use they, them pronouns. I'm fairly new to the Behind VA Shadows community and excited to be here. Thank you. Yeah, so I met Yolanda about a year ago, almost a year ago now, when she started working at POW Art Center with me. And she's been the best colleague and now friend and collaborator here at VA Shadows. And I'm excited to share that I am launching an open call. You might have seen on the front info desk an open call for a show with a theme focused on rupture. This is a concept that I've been thinking about for a long time. I'm a queer, transracial, transnational Chinese adoptee, and rupture is something that like intersects in my life in like really interesting and like multifarious ways, and I think that it's something that can resonate with a lot of people, and especially POC folks in this time. So I invite you all to submit your work. It's open to any medium, prioritizing BIPOC folks, but anyone can submit. And if you have any questions or want to talk about rupture with me, I'm hanging out all day until 7. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Please do raise your hand. Go ahead and starfish real big to catch my attention if you'd like me to pass the mic your way. That may have been Isola's attempt to get out of speaking. Isola is, guys, let me just tell you a story about Isola. Isola doesn't know what I'm about to say, but I think you do. At the first VA Shadows show at, where was that, guys? Downtown Crossing. Whoa. At Downtown Crossing, when I went in to help Yolanda and set up my work, and that's when I saw Isola's work, I think, in person for the first time, and I fucking cried, you guys. I cried so hard. I was like, oh my God, this piece of art so perfectly represents this human being that I know and love so well. That's the extent of my story. I won't get any deeper than that with that. But Isola is also one of the wonderful creators of our photo booth here and our beautiful insect jungle, which Isola knew I was going to love. So I'm going to pass the mic Isola's way.
Thank you. Yeah, and the piece that Caitlin referred to is in Jose's possession. So that's just how obsessed with each other we all are.
You bought it?
Yeah.
You sold it?
It was for his mom.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, dial it Yeah, I mean, I was kind of like floating in art school when I started at the ICA, and I was like pretty stumped on how you go from being in art school to like actually making shit. I felt like that transition was not made evident to me. So starting at the ICA was like almost a crash course in meeting like young working professionals that were also making their art careers happen, that are also doing like 100 other things. And I was like, that's it. That's what it looks like. That's how I want to do it. And I feel like, yeah, I wouldn't have come to that conclusion nearly as quickly, at least, without meeting all these people. Yeah, so when Yolanda tells me to make something that doesn't look corporate so that we can have a photo op, I say, you've come to the right place. I don't think I could do corporate if I tried. Yeah, so I just sort of went through my household and pieced together this little booth, kind of just like inspired by native flora and fauna, but also very much thinking about the shows and events that I've like worn some of these like fabrics to and things like that. So there's like a lot of memories like stitched into it as well. Yeah, no, this is great. I get to like see like 90% of the people I know in Boston, and it's good to see everyone. That's all I got.
Thanks, Boo. That was perfect. Okay, here I am back again. And I wonder if Brian and Theo have had enough time to transition from podcast time and want to speak as individuals time. Would either of you like to come up? All right, everyone, it's Theo.
Thank you. I'm back. Something that I was just thinking about that's really cool about this space that I just really wanted to highlight, for those who aren't already familiar, it's called the 25/8 Gallery because the lights are on all the time, and you don't have to go in to see it. It's right here on the street, which is so accessible. I think that's really cool. You can come by any time, literally. It could be 3 a.m., and the art will be here. You can look at it. There's a QR code for you to read artist statements, connect with the artists on Instagram, and they're very, very present. I think something you were saying, Caitlin, is that we run into this in the podcast a lot, is that people are hesitant to refer to themselves as artists, but sometimes they make things that are art that are really cool, and they love talking about it. So I think that the layout of this space makes it really easy to engage with those people directly about what they do without anybody having to be backed by anything other than their own merit, which is really, really wonderful and accessible, and I think that's really great.
Thank you. All right, guys, I think I'm starting to run out of bandwidth. I can usually blabber on and on and on, just ask anyone, but you can also typically find me in an institution laying under a glittery horse, so that is also who I am inside. So I may try to run away from the mic soon, unless Mariana wants to come up. Oh, if I insist, I do. Thank you. Do you want me to stay up here? I'll stay nearby. I'm just going to take this off.
Hello, everyone. I feel like I don't know a lot of the people that are here, which is super exciting. So if you don't know me either, my name is Mariana. I use she, her. And I am just gonna share something that probably someone else has mentioned before, and is that this all started a while ago at the ICA, thanks to most of the people that are here. The first pop-up show that we did in Downtown Crossing was around the time that I started at the ICA. And it was really exciting, like being like trying to find spaces to connect with people. And it was the way that I got to learn about most of you. I got to meet a lot of the people that I worked with through their work, and that was super special. And I remember just being like super wowed by the fact that you were able to pull that off. So I'm really glad that we're able to do this still 2 years, 3 years later. So yeah, thank you to everyone who keeps like doing the work to make this happen. To all of the guest curators, the artists, the friends that come to drop off the work and help install, all of the people that have painted these walls. Anyone that has installed here knows that it's like tiny. It's an intimate experience, but it's a fun one and it's a special one. And like days like today prove that. So yeah, thank you to everyone who makes this happen. Shout out to Yolanda. But this is like an effort of like many, many hands. So thank you for being here. That's all.
You're amazing. Thank you. Okay, in classic collaborative style, I'm now gonna retire from the mic, hopefully for the rest of the night, and pass this back to Theo, who will pass it on again.
Thank you. One last call. Does anybody else want to say anything? Going. Gone. Okay. So I want to take a moment to call up our Behind VA Shadows founder and caretaker, Yolanda He Yang. And guys, Yolanda's mom is visiting right now, so when you cheer really loud.
Hello, everybody. My name is Yolanda Yang, and I'm very proudly to say my Chinese name is Yang He because I actually never use my Chinese name in a public space just because. And my mom is actually sitting there in a child chair, pretending she's like a little kid, which is fine, and she actually cannot understand anything we're talking. So I will do the intense interpretation and translation after this for her. So first of all, I really appreciate everybody who come here today, and this is actually our first public, art activation in our new space since 2023. And before, where we hosted, the gatherings and blah blah. Actually, we just hosted in my place and in the backyard. We had like a dumpling making workshop where I actually met my current partner, Cam. So I met Cam actually through Behind VA Shadows. So you can see I actually really love Behind VA Shadows. This is, so there's lots of things I want to say, but I really want to give shout outs to some folks who put this, public art activation together today, and also some familiar faces sitting by the wall. Just don't pretend you don't know me, because for example, Randy there, I know you, which we haven't seen each other for many long time, but I remember all of your name. So for a full round, I want to shout out to Wenbin and Nemo, who is not here. We work on this first community art publication, which is here. It actually has all our shows, programming, public art, related activation in the public spaces since 2022. And for folks who don't know who we are Behind VA Shadows. VA stands for Visitor Assistant, standing in a gallery from 9 to 5 and serving as educator and also the guard to make sure the art is accessible and to make sure the art are protected. But at the same time, when I joined the ICA around 2020 and 2021, while I was dealing all my immigration process, I was also kind of had a great chance to know folks who was standing with me, like Kaylin, Janella, and Isola, and Maliana, and Randy. I didn't really work with Shelby back at the time, but I knew Shelby through VA Shadows, Jalen, and Jose. Oh my God, I love you guys so much. And Cam, and Anna standing over there. Oh my God, and Denver, who is hiding behind it, and also Alan, who trained Alan here. And also Alan, who actually trained me as a visitor assistant, and then after 2 days, Alan left. I was like, fine, there's something we should talk about, reflection on working as a VA. And also Sammy, who is also hiding there. So there's a lot of folks, I'm really grateful to know all of you, and we actually started this project together through hosting online shows during the pandemic, and the purpose was so simple. We just wanted to do something fun. We just wanted to, preserve our friendship during all these kinds of ephemeral process of migration. So big shout outs to, all the museum workers who really provided their energy, their talents, and their time with such little institutional support to the broader public. So today we have many ways to support us and our programming and exhibitions. We're all have been keeping it free. So you can buy the sticker, $1 to $3, or you can have our very limited catalog. Because we actually don't really have any money, but we still make things happen. And that's the magic of community. What else I haven't talked? And thanks to Lucy, who I also met through Behind VA Shadows. Big shout out to Lucy and Isola, who put this photo booth over here. And a big shout out to our planning team to put everything here. And Ava, who is not here. Ava is actually practicing taiko right now. So see, we're a very diverse group doing many different things at the same time. So I think that's basically what we are hosting today, and we really want you guys have a great time. And always come to check out our free shows, and it's literally 25/8. People ask me why this name. It's because we want to leave one more day and 1 more hour for friendship, for community, and for art. So we don't only just do art in the studio and never show to people. So there's lots of way you will be, highlighted through our community and through our friendship. Is there anything I forgot to mention? I don't think so. Okay, cool. Let's back to the party. And thank you all for coming here today. Really appreciate that.